In this video, we'll be testing this Coleman Elite Sundome 6-person tent for its ease of setup, takedown, spaciousness, comfort, and more. I bought this Elite Sundome 6-person tent from Amazon, and here's what it looks like out of the box. Inside the package, I got the tent body, the rain flag, a foot mat, 13 stakes in a carry case, 6 poles in another carry case, a light and power pack in another box with a small bag to store them. Here's what all 6 poles looks like. I'll put affiliate links below if you want to check it out. To set up this Coleman Elite Sundome 6-person tent, first grab these 2 longest and thickest fiberglass poles and insert them into the 2 blue pole sleeves at the center of the tent. Then prop one of the poles up first by securing both ends of the pole into these pins. There's 1 pin at each corner of the tent. Do the same with the other pole, adjust the pole sleeves, then attach all 8 pole clips around the tent body. Next, grab the rain fly and drape it over the tent, with the blue part of the rain fly over the D-door with the hinged feature. Secure the rain fly using these 4 S-hooks of the rain fly to the 4 rings at the corners of the tent. After that, stake down the entire tent with 7 stakes, 3 at one length, 3 at another length, and 1 more under the hinged D-door. Also, guy out the entire tent with the 6 pre-attached guy lines. Now grab the 2 black fiberglass poles with these metal tips at each end. These are for holding the rain fly away from the tent body, 1 pole over each door. To set this pole up, there is a short pole sleeve at the tip of the rain fly and 2 rings in the tent body for the 2 ends of the pole. The last 2 poles with black tips at each end are for the hinged D-door. The shortest pole is for the straight side of the door, and the longest pole is for the curved side of the door. When I set up this Elite Sundome 6-person tent on my own, it took me about 16 minutes for the entire setup, and here's the time lapse of it. Taking down the Elite Sundome 6-person tent is just the opposite of the setup, and it took me another 12 minutes for the entire takedown and pack up. For more details on the setup and tips on how I set this up on my own, I have this separate video on my channel. The peak height in this Elite Sundome 6-person tent is about 74.5 inches high, and I can stand upright here no problem. I'm also able to stand upright on thick queen mattresses and bounce around too. But this is a dome-shaped tent though, so the peak height is only at the center. When I take 2 steps back, my head would touch the top of the tent. The rest of the tent slopes downwards as well. The length inside this Elite Sundome 6-person tent is about 11 feet and 7 inches, while the width is about 9 feet and 6 inches, so slightly smaller than the marketed dimensions of 12 by 10 feet. I was surprised to find that I could fit not just 6, but 7 regular sleeping pads inside the tent, and here's what 7 pads looks like. You do have to sleep shoulder to shoulder, but even with 7 pads inside the tent, there's still a bit of leftover room for camping gear. This space doesn't have enough length for an 8th pad though. Instead of having 6 or 7 pads inside the tent, you can also fit 2 queen camping mattresses easily, and this is what the Elite Sundome tent looks like with 2 queen beds, and I think this tent is perfect for 4. Plus, you get quite a bit of leftover room for storing gear, which is always very nice to have. This Elite Sundome 6-person tent comes with 1 room divider to be put up at the middle of the tent. To attach the divider, there are 6 of these latches on the divider and 6 loops on the tent, so 3 on each side. When the room divider is up, each room can fit only 3 pads. There's not enough length for a 4th pad, so instead you get leftover room for gear. Instead of 3 pads in each room, you can also have 1 queen bed in each room, plus lots of room for gear as well. The divider isn't too see-through, which is nice, and there's a zip down the middle. For easy access into either room, you can unzip the divider and clip it at the sides with these 2 latches, 1 on either side. But the problem with this divider is that there are gaps at the top, the sides, and also at the bottom. The Elite Sundome 6-person tent has 2 windows, 1 on each width of the tent. The window at the back measures about 42 inches in length and about 25 inches in width, while the window at the front measures about 29 inches in length and 22 inches in width. Each window has 2 white zippers and also a bug net to prevent larger bugs from getting in when the window is open. One super cool thing about these windows is the auto-rolling feature. Inside the package, Coleman should also provide you with these black circular straps. First, straighten each black strap out by clicking both ends in place. You'll notice that one of them has an orange sticker, and this is for the orange tabbed window at the back of the tent. The other strap has a yellow sticker, and this is for the yellow tabbed window at the front of the tent. Next, to install the feature, pull down on the Velcro strap at the bottom of each window and slide the black strap in. It slides in much more easily when it's fully straightened. Now make sure that the top bit of the strap is slightly bent, so press on it until it clicks again. This allows the entire strip to bend as you roll down the window, giving you this seriously awesome auto-rolling feature. The two windows are actually part of the two doors in this Elite Sundome 6-person tent, one on each width of the tent. The front door is this hinged D-door, and Coleman will provide you with two fiberglass poles to install the hinged feature. This hinged D-door measures about 47 inches in length, 29 inches in width, so not super big. It also measures about 49 inches from the ground to the top of the door, so I did have to duck a little when going through the door in and out of the tent. The hinged D-door also comes with a handle on both the outside and the inside, and it's really like a regular door, which is very nice. You can keep this hinged door open by pushing it behind a rainfly pole. You can also zip it up even with the fiberglass poles in place. If you don't want to zip it up, these 3 Velcro straps around the door will keep the door closed. The back door is not hinged, and you do have to zip it open and close. This door measures about 52 inches in length by 42 inches in width, so quite a bit bigger, and it's also a little taller, about 54 inches from the ground to the top of the door. But I still had to duck when getting in and out of the tent through this door. This door also comes with 2 door latches by the side to hold the door open. Both doors come with 2 black zippers for zipping open and close, and when using the divider, each room will have 1 door, which is awesome. The Elite Sundome 6-person tent also comes with this light and power pack. To open the power pack, press on these 2 sides here and then on the single latch here. Then install 4D batteries and connect it to this plug at the corner of the tent here. Unfortunately, mine doesn't work because the plug doesn't fit, so this was a bust for me. But if yours works, just install the provided lantern above. To do so, align these 2 white dots here, then gently turn it and it'll be fixed in place. Then use this switch near the hinged door to control the lighting. There's wiring connecting the switch at the door up to the lantern at the top and down to the power pack at the other end of the tent. If you prefer not to have this feature, you can remove it entirely by undoing these Velcro strips along this wire, unplugging both the switch and lantern, and pulling the rest of the wire out. For storage, the power pack and this light comes with this small black carry bag which you can hang up at the corner of the tent with this S-hook. There are 2 pockets inside this Elite Sundome tent, each measuring about 9 by 8 inches, and 1 E-port at the bottom of the tent with a zippered closure. Unfortunately, there's no lantern loop at the top because of the pre-attached light, so I just used one of the hooks of the divider to hang my own lantern. I rain tested this Elite Sundome 6-person tent using this water hose, and the rainfall was pretty heavy on these 2 walls of the tent. On this wall of the tent, it took about 30 minutes for the first few droplets of water to seep into the tent through this untaped seam of the bathtub flooring. The seam is pretty much soaked around here. Also, at the corner of the tent, there was a little bit more leaking through the seam as well. The bottom part of the window mesh was also damp, though the top was still dry, so you could crack the windows open a bit in heavy rain. Both the white fabric at the top and the blue fabric at the bottom were still dry, and so was the rainfly. On this wall here, there was no leaking at all after 30 minutes. The mesh wall was still dry, all the fabric was still dry, and even the untaped seam was also dry with no leaks. For more info on this rain test, you can check out this short rain test video on my channel. One more thing to note is that while this pole holds the rainfly away from the tent body, it protects only the door and not anything outside the tent. So your footwear outside the tent would get wet even in light rain. Rainy day ventilation in this Elite Sundome tent is actually pretty decent. I could crack the windows open a little in heavy rain, and in light to moderate rain, the window mesh stayed completely dry, which is very nice. There are also 2 mesh walls spanning both entire lengths of this Elite tent, and with the rainfly on and guide out, these become vents which are about 14 inches wide for both. On a hot day, you can take the rainfly off from the outside for even more ventilation through these 2 mesh walls, not to mention the 2 doors as well. There won't be as much privacy when the rainfly is off though. The flooring of this Elite Sundome 6-person tent is made of polyethylene, and the bathtub feature extends up to about 9 inches. Even after 30 minutes of pouring rain, no water seeped through the flooring itself. The rainfly is made of 75D polyester taffeta, while the rest of the tent is made of 68D polyester, and they both stayed completely dry after 30 minutes of pouring rain as well. All the seams inside the tent have not been seam taped, and those exposed to the rain have been inverted, like this tent body to bathtub flooring seam, the vertical seams, this white fabric to blue fabric seam, as well as the door seams. The seams are pretty good quality, double stitched, and consistent with no loose threads or big holes. The mesh is just regular mesh, not no-seam mesh, and it's decent quality. The zippers are also decent quality, and all of them are catch-free. I didn't have any snagging issues on the windows, and the doors didn't snag as well, but the design of this rain cover sometimes gets in the way. So when zipping it up, I just try to hold the rain cover away and it won't snag at all. All the poles are made of fiberglass. I wish they were color-coded and that the rainfly poles weren't so thin. They both bent permanently after a few days of use. The carry bag is made of a thicker, higher quality material than regular Coleman carry bags and can be expanded by unzipping this zip at the bottom. This Elite Sundome 6-person tent has a pack size of 30 by 13.5 by 10 inches, and here's what it looks like beside a Coleman 2-person Sundome tent and a 32-ounce Nalgene bottle. It weighs about 21.5 pounds for everything. For pros, I found the Elite Sundome 6-person tent very feature-rich. When you buy an Elite tent instead of the regular Sundome, you get this hinged D-door, which makes going in and out of the tent much more convenient, and isn't available for many Coleman tents. You also get one extra door, so 2 doors in total, a room divider to create 2 separate rooms, these super cool auto-rolling windows, and also pre-attached lighting. The only feature that I wasn't a big fan of was the lighting. I found it pretty gimmicky. Personally, I don't really like using D batteries because they're pretty expensive and very heavy, and this small light requires 4 of them, so I think I'll stick to my rechargeable lanterns. You will also get a bigger base area in the Elite Sundome 6-person tent, and this tent can fit up to 7 people, not just 6 like your regular Sundome. And you also get a much higher quality carry bag. Similar to the regular Sundome tent, ventilation is pretty good on both hot and rainy days, and rain protection is not too shabby either. If you found this helpful so far, please help me hit that like button, thank you, and I really appreciate it. As for cons, I didn't quite like this rainfly pole design. The pole is really thin, and there's a lot of pressure on it when you put it up, so it'll bend permanently after a few days. I much prefer the regular Sundome pole design. It's just one pole across the tent, but it's much thicker, doesn't warp so easily, and provides just as much rainfly protection. Another con is that the Elite tents tend to be more expensive than the regular tents. Overall, I did enjoy the features, but my recommendation would be to check out the prices of this Elite Sundome tent against the regular Sundome and the Blackout Sundome. If it's not too much more expensive and you like these extra features, I think the Elite Sundome would be worth it. But wait, before you buy anything, I compared this Elite Sundome tent against more than 10 other Coleman tents in this video, so I highly recommend that you watch it. I'll put it up when it's ready, so do check it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.